Dying with style.
Do you hear anything?
Huh?
No machines. No tools.
Let's go find that gunsmith. Maybe he's upstairs now.
Shit, we didn't think this through. In this dimension he might not even be a gunsmith. For all we know, in this dimension he's a pissing botanist.
The shrine. It's a figure of Comstock now.
Oh, even bloody better. That's just what we needed. Oh, hello, half-dead Chen Lin. This is going to go well.
Mr. Lin? Chen Lin? Excuse me, Chen Lin?
Who are you? You speak up! Speak up! Can't hear you over all these machines! Very loud!
I'm Booker DeWitt.
Stand back! These machines very dangerous. Wait downstairs with Mrs. Lin.
Daisy Fitzroy sent us. We need to talk to you about getting some weapons.
Machines very dangerous. No place for stupid people. Want to lose pretty head?
Mr. Lin.
Downstairs.
What is wrong with him?
Remember him dead in that cell? Maybe in some way he remembers that too.
Excuse me, ma'am. I'm looking for Mrs. Lin.
I'm Mrs. Lin.
No, I mean a little Chinese lady. She was...
Booker. This is Mrs. Lin.
They took Chen's tools. What's he got without his tools?
Well, your husband is a bit out of sorts.
If he could work again, maybe... If he could work, he'd...
Mrs. Lin, can you tell me who took your husband's tools?
Goddamn police. They took them and locked them up in the impound in Shantytown.
Sure. Would having his tools back fix his mind?
Who cares? We're not getting any guns if Chen Lin doesn't have his tools. Let's head to Shantytown.
Yes, let's head to Shantytown, because going to find Chen Lin in the first place worked out so wonderfully.
Did you notice? Lin had a bloody nose.
Seems to be in style.
This terror. I'm not so sure it was a good idea.
1, it's a bit late now. 2, both you and Booker agreed that it was your only course of action. And 3, at least you're acknowledging your mistake. There, pet pet. Now, if only Booker would acknowledge the same mistake rather than fobbing you off. My respect for you is bordering on reasonable. My respect for him is bordering on... I don't even think there's a word for that factor of negative. In fact, I think I would have to invent one. I would go with terror-baffling. I'm sure going away to find his tools will yield no negative results whatsoever. Elizabeth, I cannot fault you for being a little lackluster in the ideas department. You've been locked up in a tower your whole life. But Booker? You're supposedly a military man. You should know better than this. You should have clear judgment. You should know this is ridiculous. You have killed entire armies on this quest so far. Go back, fucking shoot Daisy Fitzroy in the head, innocent or guilty alike, I honestly don't care. Take the airship back and fuck off to France. Right, well, with that mini rant disposed of, let's go kill some more dudes. We seem to be back to the one-hit headshot. I have no idea how that happened. Well, not that I'm complaining, because it is lovely, I just don't know why the previous fight it wasn't one-hit headshots, and now it's back to being that. Well, actually I guess I am complaining, because some consistency would be lovely here. Very few of you may know this, but I'm actually an English athlete. I compete in the 100-metre rant. As I assumed this area would be harder, I actually backed off to a corner, set up a trap, and started sniping out my opponents. And that would have worked wonderfully had they not all suddenly become weaker again, and I could have probably gunned them down without thinking, as I have been doing this entire time. I was, however, prepared for the harder style of enemy that required me to use some tactics. Now that I'm using tactics again, I have been gifted with the useless enemies that I needn't have done so. Thus, I can only draw the conclusion that the developers are fucking with me personally. You can tell I'm a well-mannered person with a bright outlook on life when I end a zone with more ammo than I need, full health, full salts, and think, the developers must be fucking with me. This is going too well. Well, how the bloody hell do I get past this then? I have missed something blindingly obvious behind me, haven't I? A giant obvious lever.
You want to ask me? Ask me.
About what?
My finger.
Sorry, I didn't...
It's all right. It's as much a mystery to me as anyone else. Maybe Songbird knows, but he's not talking.
I'm sorry.
What for? I get to wear this stylish thimble to cover up my hideous deformity. I hear they're all the rage in Paris.
I'm quite unsure why she brought that up. I was looking at a lever, not her. Oh well. Back to the good old-fashioned profession of killing dudes. Mind you, this might be a double bluff. Those last guys were easy, but the guys before that were very difficult. So these guys might be very tough again. Well, at least they're one-hit headshots again, and not 2 or 3. That's making me wonder why the hell the difficulty suddenly jumped up and has settled back down again. I am genuinely perplexed. Here we have someone who needs a few headshots to be taken down, but he's a special type. As much as I'm an advocate of the one-bullet-fits-all cranium, I will let that slide. So long as the majority of enemies are taking it in the head and going down in one. After all, there does need to be a balance between mowing through tons of dudes so I feel like an ultra badass and there actually being a challenge every now and again. I rather like the use of Mecha Patriots because there's an obvious reason why they don't go down in one headshot. However, we seem to have dialed back on that and replaced them with equally bullet-spongy human enemies that have no reason to be able to take that amount of punishment. Or there may be a perfectly good reason in the lore that I just don't know about. But the game has not done a good job of conveying that, if it is indeed so. I felt like I almost made a mistake losing that cover for the sentry gun, but he did incredibly well there, so thumbs up sentry gun. Additionally, as much as I'm complaining about this game, I do have to say I am rather enthralled with the story, and the tear mechanic is one I've never seen done quite so fluidly within the game's lore. I've seen very few other games call on such similar mechanics. The games were never successful, and the mechanics never seemed like they fit within the actual story. At least that's my experience with games I've come across. In this case, however, I have to make a huge exception, as I have barely been able to put this game down. In fact, I apologise if, when you're watching this, the footage isn't really that well divided, because I basically haven't stopped playing it since I got it. That, and I have found Elizabeth to be the most useful NPC companion I've ever been partnered up with.
Well now.
Well now indeed. That's a lot of guns, and by the look of it a new vigour. How do I get in? A crowbar, my kingdom for a crowbar. Well, you can't blame the guy for trying.
Lockpicks. Can always use more of them.
Yes, except that I have 9 now and have yet to find anything I actually want to pick. No, my nose does not count. Well, I'm not getting in there. Time to move on, said the gentleman about his disinterested lady friend. Mind you, come to think of it, if Chen Lin's tools are stonking great machines, how are we going to move them? Oh, another lift. I guess that means it's dialogue time. Or a loading screen. Huh. All the lifts thus far have been us travelling up slowly while Elizabeth and DeWitt talk to each other. I genuinely wasn't expecting it to just go straight to loading screen.
You must think me some sort of freak. A girl who can bring dead men back to life. Whose only acquaintance is a giant bird creature. It must seem ridiculous.
You just got dealt a bad hand.
I am not going back to that tower no matter what happens.
They won't stop until they have you.
Why? What did I do to them?
You frighten them.
Good.
Why did the loading screen dictate that Elizabeth has a soft spot for these people before we've met them in the game? Being that I've now been gifted that meta-knowledge, I have a strong urge to just randomly kill these people, as I have done pretty much everyone else in this game so far. However, as I'm not entirely soulless, I'm not going to do it to these poor folk.
Maybe Daisy's right. Maybe she should pay him back for all of this.
Not before she pays us. We're here for guns and then the air.
Funny how despite this place is incredibly poor, people still just leave money lying around. Oh, and it's a group of people that have spotted me taking money that it didn't notify me was stealing, even though they couldn't see me. Ah, the perfect trifecta of things to completely erode all empathy I had. Admiral Akbar, you've failed me yet again, and time to initiate indiscriminate murdering. Really though, fuck everyone. Taking everything I find has been perfectly fine up until this point in the game, and with no notifications suddenly it isn't. Furthermore, even if it wasn't, rationale would dictate it'd be fine if no one can see me, because they wouldn't know I'd done it. At this point, even getting that shield infusion hasn't quelled my murderous rage.